These are bigger. Yes. Look at that. It's amazing. All right. So, all right, welcome to episode 7. Are we at 7 already? All right. So, last episode we hooked up Hermes to Cloudflare CLI so that it can see logs and it can control deployments and everything from there. We have it hooked to Supabase. We have it hooked to N8N and we created the tool server. So now what we want to do is I want to create a waiting list. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to have the waiting list. I want Atlas to create the tables, set up anything in the tool server if it needs to, create all the functionality in the front end. And then I gave it a reference to an image that I would like it to mimic in terms of the style. So this will be our sort of like full-fledged trial on it creating everything and then us testing and making sure it works. Now, if something breaks, of course, we'll take a look at it, debug it, make sure that Hermes has everything that it needs, and then move on. So let's get into it. Okay, so I've already prepped what I've wanted to say, but I'll sort of go over it. Essentially, what I'm saying is now that you're connected, I want us to set up the initial landing page for what Build with Pixel is. I told it some information I'll want on the page. Of course, I'll refine that. I'm going to add videos. But I also want it to, because I'm setting up and storing workflow scripts and code for users whenever they use this platform. I want it to maintain that starter front end framework and save that so that we have that to go back to and for users to use. And then we'll have our build going on alongside it. So I essentially wrote out this. I told it to come back with what is your game plan, and then it mocked up the game plan. It confirmed the state uh, of the app repo, the web app, staging, all that good stuff. What we're bringing to it. It gave me its opinion on what it should do, and then the architecture. So I was wanting to keep the initial landing page that we constructed. So for when users use it, it'll be there. So the flow, it went over the flow so that it knows what tables to create, the page, what it will say on the page, and we'll go over this more once I actually see it because I want to see it, and then we can change it. The routes, the confirmation page, what it's going to do with the schema in Supabase. So when someone signs up, it's got to store their email and any information that we ask so that we can track that and see them getting authenticated and all that good stuff. Server logic, auth button updates. So yeah, let's go through this. And this is something that you'll want to do is, you want to be explicit, you want to be very detailed in how you prompt and try to get as much of the information you want because you want your agent to have context. Context is everything. And so you want to give it, and once you learn more about like automations with N8N, Supabase, all that, you'll get better at putting down exactly what you need from the agent for it to complete its job. Now, if it messes up, it's fine. We can look over, we can see what the errors are, we can feed it back to it. But the iteration, the speed and turnaround is so fast compared to a human. So yeah, let's go for it. Um, let me know if there are any issues. And before I go further, this is what the page looks like right now. It's a simple landing page. You can sign in, and when you go into the dashboard, so we're going to sign in. We'll use this. Continue. And then it's just a dashboard. So it's nothing crazy. So we're going to overhaul this um, to look a bit more fancy. If there are any issues, let me know. But let's do it. All right. And then I'll come back whenever it's done its thing. All right. So let's check this out. So it went through, um, started building. As we can see, it created the waitlist entries table, which is awesome. And then it said that it has pushed to origin staging, replaced with a premium build with pixel waiting list. Okay, awesome. Preserve the reusable starter landing page at starter foundation. Sweet. Authenticate waitlist flow. Join upserts waitlist. Okay. Safer auth callback redirect handling to prevent unsafe external redirects. Okay. Added migration. Staging table exists. Verified. Okay. Did all of its verification. Visual check passed. Landing page renders with the premium hero. Okay. Let's check what this looks like. Okay. There we go. It's not bad, not bad. Issue encounter. One issue came up with Supabase CLI. Database push. Failed because the remote staging migration history has an older migration version that is not present locally. Reset anything or touch production. Instead, I safely apply the single additive migration directly to the staging database using the private staging database URL from the secret file without. Okay. Um, Stage secret, scan only flagged harmless words like surface. Okay, perfect. Deploy to Cloudflare staging yet. That is next external side effect. If you want, say the word and I'll deploy the push staging right into. Well, I don't need to do that because now let's refresh. Or actually, let's do a hard refresh. Okay, so maybe it didn't. Oh, there we go. Look at that. Starter foundation. Okay, so join the waiting list. Own the infrastructure behind your AI business. Build with Pixels opening limited access to the agents, workflows, dashboards, private tools, and starter systems we use to build real AI infrastructure. During the launch window, waitlist members get first. Beautiful. And then I'll have a countdown, see what's included. Practical AI infrastructure library that keeps growing. Lifetime access, agent workflows, learn the same Hermes, N8N, Supabase, Cloudflare, GitHub, and tool sort patterns behind this platform. Future get tools include get the skills, workflows, template scripts, and infrastructure improvements we continue to ship. Beautiful. Join during the launch window and keep access to the future build with Pixel updates. Okay. So it did it. So it was able to amplify. So now let's see if I'm not signed in. So I want to join the waiting list. Okay, you're on the waiting list. We saved your spot in the Build with Pixel lifetime access drop. The countdown begins soon, and waitlist members will get first notice when the purchase window opens. Joined, email, boom, date. What happens next? Launch date and countdown will be announced here. Access will only be available during the limited purchase window. Members will get lifetime access to the future. Okay, and then back to the landing page. Okay, so then let's check if I got inserted into the actual table. Look at that. All right. So now this is how you track data and user signups and information that they provide. So as we go on, now I have that user information about their name, which is pulling from, I guess, their Google auth, their email, and all that. So then during the waitlist period, I can send out emails and provide info about okay, when does the countdown start? To put out stuff like okay, this is what you're going to get from this product, all that good stuff. So this was all created with Hermes attached to Supabase, GitHub, N8N. Now we haven't used any automations yet, but what I'm going to do is within here, I'm going to incorporate videos and maybe even little templates or use cases for the workflows that I provide. So, like, let's say a leads agent that goes out and scrapes for leads. I'll let people use it so that they can see a workflow that they'll get from this purchase. And I want to provide a ton of different workflows so that businesses and builders can have a great base to start from and then are able to build their business around an intelligence layer like this. So this is awesome. So a couple things that I'm gonna change. I don't like the formatting being off to the left. Uh, what's that? Oh, okay. So that's the link to the starter foundation, which I'm gonna remove that page. I'm not gonna want that within our build or remove that link. Um, But the formatting I'll have to mess with, and then we'll fix the Supabase issue that it's having. It worked around it, which is great, but I wanna dial that in so that it knows in the future how to use it. Alright, so now I'm gonna go back. Okay, so I just wanna figure out, okay, what can we do to alleviate the Supabase issue? It was able to create it, but I just wanna make sure that moving forward, Atlas doesn't run into any issues with creating tables and whatever it needs to do within Supabase. Okay, so let's see what Atlas had to say. Okay, so essentially, I'm telling him like we don't have anything in Supabase. It's all good. This is the first table. It could be because we created that temp one earlier, and then I deleted it manually. So I just wanted to take care of it since this is essentially a brand new table structure and all that. So we don't really need to do anything fancy. I'm not worried about breaking anything because it's bare bones, it's scratch. Okay, so let's see what it says. The Fed empty before the Clips plan is to create a local no-op baseline migration for the old. Okay, okay. The goal is not to change the. All right. It does not have a mesh file. Git has a new best cleanup. Add a local baseline migration for the old remote version. Okay. This tells future Atlas Hermes devs the old migration exists in Supabase history, but did not introduce app owned schema we need to recreate. Okay. Okay. List is clean. Commit and push the baseline migration. Why this better than alters? Better than reverting. Okay. Let's do it. All right. So it's going to clean that up, and then I'm going to uh tell Atlas to reformat some of the landing page, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so it did the cleanup for the migration, baseline migration, repaired the ledger for the waitlist migration. It's now aligned. Beautiful. It verified. Push to GitHub staging. Okay, cool. So now that that's fixed, now I want to uh ChatGPT has a very good image creator. Definitely use it whenever you want. I fed it what uh Atlas created here, and I told it to just add some beauty, add some colors and life to it, and it got me this, which is awesome. So I'm going to ask Atlas to take this as reference and build for it. Um, then we'll go through and we can create these pages up here. And then I'm going to remove this bottom section here. I like everything except for that because I don't need that. And then we'll go from there. Okay, so I did this write up. I'm attaching that image and I want to say, hey, I want to get rid of the starter foundation link up there. That doesn't need to be accessible on my main production site. I want it to be beautiful, like this image, some vibrant colors, the centered alignment. Um, for the join waitlist buttons, I want to add that to the top right as well, but let's make it like a light blue, not a black. The black, it does stand out, but it doesn't really go with the aesthetic. Um, and then I asked if it needs these images. So what we could do is if it's able to recreate it, that's great. But sometimes it may need like a an image to use to put into the site. So if that's the case, I have a plan for that, but we'll see what we get back when we ask it to do this. Okay, let's have a look at what it did. All right, recreate the landing page much closer to the render and push it to staging. Rebuilt the home page to match. Let's see if it's still building. Okay, the build is in progress. So we'll look at the image until that's built. Here, join the way in the top tabs. What's included? Links to the infrastructure member card section for builders, in fact, are visible as future tabs, but do not navigate yet. No extra images are needed right now. It recreated. They won't be as physically perfect as a custom 3D render, but they match the feel and keep the app lightweight. Later, if you want more exact branded, we can swap those elements for an asset. Okay, let's see. Okay. Not bad, not bad. This may be a little bit too bold. I do like the added blue look to these buttons. That's one thing I to for it to match the type and the font style. Um, it's pretty sweet though. I mean, like for giving it reference. Now, I really like these elements. So what I may do is let's see where that build is. I want to see the actual page. Okay, so the build completed. Let's do a little hard refresh. Console. Okay, cool. Yeah, so this is looking pretty sweet. Um, go to the join waitlist. It adds you. Let's see if that actually does a double because we may have to fix that. I want to make sure that if okay, so no, it kept it the same. Okay, perfect. So back to landing page. Fact, all these ones they don't. What's included goes down. Those other two are blank, as is said. Um, this font I'm not a big fan of. I really like this, so we'll dial that in. See what's included. It mimicked this. We will add a timer once we have the date that we want that we're launching. I'm gonna have it set change this to launch countdown coming soon, and then put those days to 0 or something. Okay, and then this stuff beautiful. Okay, so what I may try to do is, and ChatGPT can be very good with this, is can you let me I'm gonna upload this image back to actually, I could probably just say, take the image above. Can you extract the cube? And we'll just do the cube for now with the PXL on it and make it a standalone version of it so I can use it on my web page. So I'm going to see if it could take that image, create an image. Now we may have to go into Photoshop and create an alpha so that we can get that bleed of color. Um, which we can do if we have a good base image, and then I can hand that to Atlas, and then it can implement it into the page. So while those are being created, what I'll do is I want to update. And let's start with that. So we'll do that, and then once this image is created for both of these, oh, look at that. That's great. So I'll use that, and then can you do the same thing and isolate the sphere on the left side so I can have it as a separate element. So then what we can do is we can bring it into Photoshop. We probably can isolate just the cube and then that bleed, and then we can probably brush like have it fade a little bit, and then that will create an alpha, and then I can attach it as an I think it was wanting an AVIF. Let's see. Da, 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 da. But we can attach it as a format that it wants for the web page, and then it can throw it in there. Okay, so it already came back. I'll make the typography countdown, copy tweaks directly on the staging app, and then okay, sweet. So we'll have a look at that in a sec, and we'll edit these images. Okay, so I brought these into Photoshop, and we get to learn a little bit of Photoshop stuff. But essentially, I'm going to create a new layer, and then I'm going to select subject. I'm going to use this lasso and add to that because I want that bleed. And then I'm going to delete everything else. So I'm going to invert that and then delete. And if I hide, you can see I now have an alpha. So that checkerboard behind means that anything else will be seen through that on the website. And so then I'm going to make my eraser big. And then I just want to eat at the um the bottom part because I don't want that hard edge. You get this nice little, let's shrink this just a little bit, get this side. And then you get this nice faded, and then now glow will. Okay, cool. So then I'm going to save that out as I asked Atlas what it wanted. So we'll do a PNG with an alpha. So we want transparency. And then we're going to do the same thing for the sphere. So take that, select subject. Now I want some of that bleed, and there's a lot of bleed around. You can see a faint pink. We're going to add to that, select inverse, delete, and then let's take our eraser, make it a bit bigger, and then just chew off a bunch of that. Just make it really faint. Okay. There we go. This is always to taste, and we got to see it, what it looks like on the site. Okay, and then you export that. I'm doing just PNG as an alpha. So within here, we're going to add those images. So I'm going to grab both of them. Here are PNGs for the cube and the sphere. Can we place these in the page and replace our other graphics? Match the placement from the reference image. Okay, cool. So we'll have Atlas go ahead and do that. And then within, I believe it updated the font. So let's go ahead and do a little hard refresh. Okay, that's looking nicer. Bold. It's not as thick. We got countdown beginning soon. 0. And then we'll go into here what you get. And then so after this page, I already have some workflows for N8N. I want to give users the ability to try some of these workflows. So when they sign up, they can run and basically I'll give them, let's say, because I don't want people to just spam these workflows because it does take up compute power and you don't want people um, to spam. So I'll probably give them a number that they'll get. So within here, we can set up a table with their profiles and then give them a certain amount of access to each tool, and then it'll just count down each time they use it. So maybe they get 3 tries on each one, and then they could see what that tool brings them, for whenever they sign up so that they know, "Hey, this is a cool tool that I'm gonna get from this purchase. I better be here whenever the launch happens." So let's see. Okay, so it's updating and we'll come back whenever it's completed that. All right, so came back, it worked on the sizing, it was comparing it to the old reference. It added the files, position, and let's take a look at the screenshot because it's going to be building, as you can see in the background. We have a build in progress, so we'll be able to see it live in a second. This is pretty nice. So one thing that I noticed right away is I want the period removed by the pixel. I want this to probably be 50% bigger and probably the same for this. Like it'd be nice if it like just curved around there. Um, and then the pixel up here matching this. So okay, so we'll see what it does from there, and then I think that, will be it for that portion. I can always fine-tune this later, but this is a great base, and I wanna get a tool set up that I've already constructed and see what, Atlas can do with N8N, if it can propagate and change nodes and build it towards what we need for this. All right, so it came back and let's see what it did. All right, so it removed the period. These are bigger. Yes. Look at that. It's amazing. All right. So now what I want to do is right under this, I want to have sort of a section where you can try the tool. So I'm going to copy over some workflows that I've created um, on Pixel World and implement it. I'm going to bring it into NAN, import them, and essentially tell Atlas we need to set up these as a uh, a base for users to use for one lead to pull one lead and to see that lead within there. And then to save those workflows as starter kit assets as well. So let's do that. All right. So I've downloaded my workflows from my other N8N. I want to create a workflow and then I want to import from file. So I'm going to bring in my leads. So this one is my Pixelworld AI agents leads, but I want build with Pixel leads agent. Now, this one, let's make sure that that's hooked up. Oh, I may not have. Okay, so I need to set up my credentials because I don't have credentials set up for OpenAI. And let's see, this one, I need to install the node. So let's go ahead and install this. This is for APIFY. If you go to APIFY, there's a bunch of different um, ways of scraping for leads. And what this does here is basically I give it a base config of what to look for. Now, this is for what I was aiming for with this workflow, which was any business that needs AI agents. We'll tailor this, but this is going to be what users can modify on the front end. So here, I want to give a tool where they can select sort of the industry they want to go for, how big of a company, and then for it to get the lead and then enrich it. So we'll set up the credential in a sec. We're going to save this, and then we're going to create another workflow, which is essentially import from file, the enrichment. So this one takes the initial lead with the name, company, and then it enriches it with LinkedIn data. Or I'm sorry, it looks at the website. So this node here looks at the website and pulls that data to give some personalization to it, and then preps the agent model here with what it needs to enrich it with to curate an email. So this sort of drafts an email based on information. So I want these to be adjustable. So what I'm going to do is I want Atlas. Oh, let's rename this one real quick. Let's do build with Pixel lead enrichment. So what I want Atlas to do, and this will be a big test. If this works, that would be amazing. But it's going to take these workflows and I wanted to extract the data from within to where a user can input that data. So, like, say what industry they're tackling, what type of company, the info that their company is. That gets sent through the webhook, populates through this workflow, grabs it, scrapes for one lead, enriches it with a bunch of data, and then drafts an email. And then within a modal on the front end, it can show all that information and say, hey, this workflow can be yours with this setup to where you don't have to use other CRMs or anything. So that's what we're going to do. So first, what we'll do is we'll add our credentials. So we need our open AI. So we need to create credential, open AI, continue. And then within here, you need to give your API key essentially. Now, I already have one. So if I go in and grab that real quick, but you can get this from the developer section of OpenAI's website, and then you just copy it and put it here, and then just hit save. Okay, so let's see, config headers, set content type is not a function. Um, I am setting credentials for OpenAI in N8N, and I get this error. What does that mean? And it could be maybe I'm missing something, but let's have a look and see what ChatGPT has to say. Okay, so it looks like it's something with the setup. So I'm going to feed this to Atlas. I'm going to put that there. We are getting this error when setting up credentials in N8N for OpenAI. So copy this. The above is what ChatGPT 5.5 recommended. What do you think? Okay, so then we'll see. Maybe we may have to go to a different version. What it'll do is probably just update N8N. It'll Docker compose down and up. We can reconnect try the API key again and see if that works. Again, this is a huge point in diagnosing problems. Like, we could spend all day trying to figure this out, but that's the power of using AI tools to your advantage is have one assess the problem, feed it to another one, like the what it should do, and then have it verify and assess based on the knowledge it has, and then take care of the problem. So you're able to just like produce super fast. All right, so let's see what it says. Backup, pull latest, retest if broken pin, retest. I would not change the OpenAI key unless the same key fails. Okay, so it takes requested later. Okay, so best plan. Okay, let's back up and then um do not love using latest for N8 now that we're depending on it. For staging, I'd rather pin versions intentionally. Okay, so let's do that. Okay, let's back up and then do what you think is best moving forward. Let me know how it goes. Okay, and then we'll see once it comes back, we'll try the key again. If it connects, great, then we can move on. Okay, let's see what it has to say. All right, so what happened? Starting date N8 was running 2.19.3, backed up, update to 2.214, verification, one non-blocking warning failed to start Python testing. Okay, should do now. Okay, so now I'll check again. So let's see. Let's just make sure I'm connected. Okay, and then credentials. Go to OpenAI. Boom. Look at that. Problem solved. All right. So now, whenever we go into, let's say, the leads agent, when I double click on this, it should pick up the account. So that red, yep. So that's gone. Looks like we're all good here. And then the lead enrichment, I'm going to double check this. It loads in, all good. This, I need to set up my credential. That's probably why. Okay, I need my API key, which I have stored. So I'm going to grab that. Do, 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 do. Okay, so I got my Gina AI API key. So if I go into this node now, it should be good. Okay, so now all my credentials are fine within N8N. I need to go in and do my write up for what I want Atlas to do with these workflows and to yeah, just give it as much information as I can so it knows what to do to build what I want. Okay, so I've essentially written up, okay, I've created these workflows within N8N. I need Atlas to go in there, assess all the nodes. It needs to reconfigure them based on what I need. I want users to be able to, under this section, try a tool. So there should be a try it now or whatever we're going to call it. It's going to be able to take the information of the person that signed in. Ooh, that's a good thing I'll need to add is to make sure that they're in on they have to be joined the wait list to use the tool. And then they can try the tool, it'll scrape a lead, enrich it, come up with an email draft, and they could see the tool, what it can do. And then I want Atlas to reconfigure the N8N workflow to work within our system and then create the Supabase tables. And so make sure that a user has to be signed up to the waiting list before they can use a tool. If not, bring up a modal that makes them join the waiting list, but also gives them the choice to close. Okay, so then I'm telling it now to give me a game plan for what it's going to do. I want it to go into those workflows, assess how it's all created, come back, give me a game plan of what it's going to do, and then I can have it go off and execute. Okay, let's see what Atlas has to say. All right, game plan. Okay, uncommitted game plan. That's fine. Big fine. Two workflows are great base, but they are currently shaped as internal batch workflows, not front end demo workflows. That's right. Current pattern, what the front end needs. Okay. My recommendation create new demo specific N8N workflow. Okay. Down for that. Easier to tie the user ID, tables we need. Right now, Supervised staging has this. We need, okay, perfect. I recommend new shared tables instead of dynamic. Yes. Okay. Lead agent profiles, lead agent runs. Okay. Key fields, lead agent results, front end flow under what members get. Add a new section, own your own leads agent. CTA, try it out. If not signed in, not waitlisted, is signed in and waitlisted. Okay. About your company, who they're looking for, then submit. Back end flow runs. Okay, then modal polls. Okay. Security decisions must be waitlist gated. Yes. Max daily 3. Yes. One lead only. Stays private. Yes. Questions for you. Okay, so let's see what the questions are. If APIFY finds no useful lead, should that burn one of the tries? One. No, it shouldn't burn one of the tries. If it doesn't find a lead. Two. Yes, just target US. Three. Should email the user's company? Yes. I still feel like the agent's words. Should I build or should I find an API first and find any result? Yes. It's recommended build order, database tables, API quote list to gate, modal UI with mock result, N8N webhook real integration. All right. I'll implement phase one. Server API, modal UI in mock mode. That gives us waitlist gated, try it out section, modal form. Okay. Let's move forward with your game plan. All right. And then we'll see what it does. Okay, so let's see what it did. Add waitlist gated lead agent demo foundation. It pushed to staging. So as we can see in the workers, it should be building or it already built. Okay, so yeah, it already built 3 minutes ago. Okay, add a new own your own leads agent. They get out tryout button files. Okay. API foundation. Okay, runs ID. For phase one, the run route creates a safe mock result using the real database shape. It looks like it created the database tables, which is awesome. Okay, and then the API enforces quota 3 per day per user, US only. Backup checkpoint. Okay, that's fine. Was not installed in the VPS, so I create a metadata checkpoint before migration instead. Okay. Verification passed. Local smoke checks. Important note, this is phase one foundation with mock result mode. The real N8N integration is next. Next phase should create, adapt the NA webhook workflow. Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and refresh this and just see what that front end looks like. So we go down. Sweet. Try it out. Own your own leads agent. Test a tiny version of the system. Tell the agent who you help, who you want to find, and it will return one enriched US lead with context, contact info when available, and a personalized outreach draft. Sweet. Okay. We'll have to put that to the middle. we'll have to make sure that certain industries and stuff because we don't want our back end to break. So I'm going to take a snapshot of this and save it. Modal. This too. All right. So that's pretty sweet. So we got all that set up. So basically, I forgot to say to move that to the middle, but that's fine. We could do that after. So I want certain industries and all of that locations to be specific and just from a drop down because, like, let's say someone put in like Europe and then goes through the N8N workflow and then breaks. So uh, we'll see what it does about that. Okay, so it came back. It did the adjustments to the drop downs, which we'll check out once it's done building. Looks like it's done building, so we'll check that out in a second. And then it went through, did those adjustments, and then told me what it's set up for the N8N config. It did let me know that there's an infrastructure note. We need to have a Cloudflare tunnel so that the N8N webhook can be exposed to the internet. I ask, okay, you have Cloudflare credentials. What can I add to that so that it can set this up itself? Um, so yes, the current Cloudflare tokens for Wrangler account access, but for me to set up Cloudflare tunnel plus access root for the N8 webhook, the token needs a few more Cloudflare permissions. I check safely. Existing token file. Okay, so I did not print these tokens. What to add to the cloud? Okay, so we need to go into Cloudflare and we need to go to our API and our Hermes agent, and we want to, okay, so back to edit. We want to add a policy and we need to add account. So let's do Cloudflare. Review, update token, and then let me check these other ones. Now, again, this is if you are comfortable with an agent having this type of access. Everyone has their own sort of degree of what they want access to. With me, I've been using it enough to where I trust it. It's been making great decisions and what it does. Now, also, I know like the system is backed up. So like if Hermes makes a mistake, I can always revert. If cloud and I'm doing this on sort of like a prototype build. So it really just comes down to what you want as a user, what you want to be able to control and do manually and what you want to give it access to. So within okay, we did that. So build with Pixel. This one, let's check out zone. So read and DNS. Okay, well, let's try this and see what access it has now and then what it can do. Now I'm telling it, okay, let's verify that it's all good. Make sure to always be secure. You're always working within the buildwithpixel.com domain, and then to update its soul file with these security measures. So we'll let that go and then see if it has everything it can do to put the N8N workflows to be accessed through the internet and then protected. Okay, let's see if it has verification. Verify the Cloudflare token access looks good for the read-only checks we need before setup. I did not create or change anything. Confirm token auth. Cloudflare account token. Scope to build with it. The token can read the build with pixel zone. Sweet. All right. Access tunnel API visibility. The token can successfully reach these Cloudflare account APIs. Means, okay, important caveat. I verified read API access only. I did not verify edit create permissions by actually creating DNS records, tunnels, access apps, or service tokens because that would be a major Cloudflare change, and you asked me to confirm with you first. So the safe status is verified. Okay. Memory update the persistent user memory with this. Okay. Next safe step. Before creating it, I'll give you a clear change proposal like, okay, so it's going to create this subdomain, route it to our local N8N, protect it with Cloudflare Access Service Token, and then no public N8N editor exposure, no changes to other domains, rollback, delete, access app. Okay. All right. Let's move forward. All right. It got back to us. So let's see what it has to say. All right, set up and verified. I stayed scope 2. Yes. No other domains touched. Protected host name. Build with Cloudflare tunnel. Healthy. For connections. Access service token. Policy. Wow, nice. Create the Cloudflare compose service here. All right. Tunnel routes internally to the private Docker network. Create local secret files under Pixel Secrets Cloudflare suite. Contains these values. Did not print those. Also these set in the Cloudflare worker staging. So let's check our pages. Let's go to build with pixels settings. Wow. And then added those. Sweet. And then also set the Cloudflare worker staging. Yeah, security verification is still local only on the VPS. Yeah. So you have to SSH in to see the browser. No host poor, unauthenticated pub result. Good. Cloudflare. Okay. Service token request reaches N8N. Okay. Code updated and pushed. All right. So now it's able to be accessed online. So when a user comes in and tries it, the workflow will run, and then it'll get back. It'll work essentially. This will be for the staging environment. Now we'll need to make sure those credentials work for our main production. So once we get this all set up, that will be the next video where we go from we'll create the main VPS. We'll mimic the same setup of how N8N, Docker, all that good stuff is created. Put that on the main machine, pull over the workflows, and then make sure these settings are set up for the worker for the main, and then copy over those workflows. And then let's just double check that before um, it updated this stuff. Okay, so we can type in a company, the website, your name, your email, what do you offer, who is your ideal customer. Okay, and then they pick from the target industry, target city, target role, company size, and then keyword theme. Very cool. And then they can run that. It'll scrape, pull it, and then boom. Amazing. Okay, so we will see what Atlas comes back with after this. Okay, let's see what it has to say. All right, yes, we should move forward. The route is working. Confirmed. Existing N8. And one important blocker, I do not see an APIFY credential configured in N8N yet. Oh, okay. So I need to set that up. All right. So I copied within here when you go to your credentials. So in credentials, APIFY, I copied my key, and then I'm going to have it Atlas verify. Okay, I added the credential. Can you make sure it's good? Then let's move forward with the plan. All right. So let's see what it did. Okay, so the credential now works. All right. N8 workflow status created and activated. True. End-to-end staging test passed. Okay, so Cloudflare access did the N8 callback, run result, final smoke result. All right, that's looking great. A redacted email values from output. The temporary smoke runs were deleted afterwards. Security checks, Cloudflare access. Good. Public users cannot hit N8N directly. Get to webhook. All right. Only accepts the proper post. Docker exposure is localhost. No host port. All right. Apps checked. Results. Documentation committed. All right. The workflow export is sanitized. It contains workflow structure. Workflow tree is all right. Next best step, test it once through the actual staging UI as a signed in waitlist user to confirm the modal polling results feel correct. Okay, so let's look at the workflow. Let's refresh. All right, so we have this webhook, and then look, it did its tests. Looks like it did a test. Okay, and then are we building? I don't think it putting. Okay, no. All right, so we can. Let's just go ahead and refresh this. We're gonna go down, try it out. So company name Pixel World. So and this is saying running agent. Okay. Okay, so it errored. So let's see what the error says. And then we can feed that back to okay, so it looks like the company size got an error. So let's give this back to Atlas. I got this error. Looks like our input fields are wrong. Can you check? Okay, well that's pretty good. So it has the webhook hit up set up. It looks like the hard grained ingrained data for this is off. It may not be exactly what APIFY is looking for. So what we'll do is we can it will Atlas will double check that. Once the workflow actually goes through, we're golden. And then what I can do is uh I can have Atlas go through and check every industry and targets. I mean, it's a lot, but to make sure all of these actually work. Um, and then we're good. That'll be good for the first setup. And this was all built with Hermes. That's crazy. You're just giving them the connections so that it can do its job, thoroughly check, and then come back. Now, of course, you're going to run into errors, but this would take you days, if not weeks, to set up by yourself. So it's pretty cool stuff. But we'll come back once it. Let's see what it has to say. Now it fixed the problem. I guess it was field format was wrong at the N8N parsing layer. Um, okay, so it was just something that in the code said it fixed and verified. As you could see, it ran a test and it completed. So I should go in and do a test. Let me make sure it didn't push anything to cloud. Okay, so there is a build in progress. So I'll wait for that. um, we'll let that build and then refresh the page, input our data, and then give it a go again. All right, so it built. Now let's go ahead and refresh this. Go down, try this out. Let's do it again. A callback here and show me the modal, and then we'll see what that modal looks like. Okay, sweet. Demo results. We'll have to, let me take a picture. I'll take a picture of that, but I need that shifted over to be aligned. This agent can be yours. Here's one enriched sample lead and outreach draft from your agent setup. Streaming edge, Wilson owner, email, phone, website, LinkedIn, why this leads fit, pain point, business automation, workflow automation, recommended build, quick idea for streaming edge. Okay, so I mean this is great. So I'm going to give Atlas some ways to configure this a little bit better just so it looks a little bit more appealing, but it worked. And then, I mean, and Atlas built the whole thing. Now, this was based off a workflow I created for Pixel World, but you essentially can do this for anything. Like you give it the idea and you set the guidelines to what you want to build, and then it can build it into your platform, and then you can use it however you want. All right. So I essentially took this, I put it in here and gave it some information of like sculpting the way the modal looks a little bit more. Um, I have something that looks like this for Pixel World, and I want it to be more in line with this, but keeping the colors that we have for this. And then yeah, we'll have it adjust that. We'll take a look, and then we'll talk about how we progress after this. All right, there we go. Okay, this agent could be yours. Here's one enriched sample lead and outreach draft. Now imagine hundreds of curated daily prospects master your business personalized before your team ever hits them. All right, so Travis came a realtor, co-founder at Christie's. Travis, okay, his email. When you go to the website, brings up their website. There we go. Okay, then LinkedIn profile. I don't have LinkedIn on this, but you go here. There it is. Boom. Pain point, marketing automation, recommended builds. Start with the focus workflow, subject, and then body. I noticed Christie's, it writes up the about the person, team custom AI inch for business and builders. If useful, I can share a quick example of how this could work. Boom. All right. Let's see this try again button. What does that do? Oh, okay. It just brings it back. Very cool. Okay. So we closed. All right. So what you can see from this episode, we were able to get our front end, our website staging platform built up how we want it viewed, the look of it, and then we are able to integrate N8N to bring in our own leads agent because I want users when they come on here to try this out, try out these tools, and understand what the potential it brings to their business of having an agent that builds everything. Because we've constructed this agent, it and given it all these connections, it can go out and build all these tools for our platform. And then we won't need to go out and get software or anything. We can build the software within the business for what the business needs. Pretty cool stuff. So, on the next episode, what we're going to do is now we have this basis set up for staging. We need to get our VPS machine, another one for main. We got to set it up so that it's similar to our staging, but without Hermes. So we need N8N, Docker, the Cloudflare setup, all that good stuff, so that when we migrate our automations from N8N to that machine and our Supabase tables, we have an exact match to staging, but without the agent. And then that's what goes online and what people can see. And so then while that's online, then we have our staging platform to do tests, build new stuff, make sure everything works. And then once that works, we shift and move it over to our main production. So yeah, good stuff. All right. Catch you on the next one.